Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 19 of the News Just News weekly roundup. I'm your host for today. My name is Lucia, and I'm a writer at News Just News. And I'm joined today by Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello. Nice to see you again, Lucia.
Nice to see you too. As usual, I'm here to remind you that everything that we're going to talk about today is going to be on our website, newsjustnews.com. So make sure to go on the website and read about anything you'd like. We've got stories about entertainment, pop culture, politics, sports, anything you'd like at all. And yeah, please make sure to visit our website, and then you can read anything you want on there. But we are starting today by speaking about a huge, successful show by Netflix. There's been a release just the other day, just on Tuesday, of a teaser trailer for season 5 of Bridgerton. Do you watch Bridgerton, Adam? Are you a fan?
I don't, but so many of my friends are.
Yeah, it's such a hugely successful show. I've only watched season 2, I believe, because I really like the actor that was in it, Jordan Bailey. It's not particularly my show, but loads of people love it. So, season 4 was just released at the end of January, and it was hugely successful. It basically was based on the storyline of Benedict, who's one of the main characters, obviously one of the members of the Bridgerton family. And we saw his storyline and his, love story with a maid called Sophie. So it was kind of like a Cinderella kind of story. And then season 5 is going to be very different because it will be focused on Francesca. Francesca is the middle daughter of the Bridgerton family. Loads of people saw season 4 and thought that season 5 was finally going to be about Eloise. Eloise has been one of the main characters since season 1. But apparently her fans will have to wait a little bit longer because she's probably going to be the main character for season 6. Season 5 will be focused on Francesca, as we said. She is the middle daughter, and spoilers ahead if you haven't watched season 4, but by the end of the show, by the end of the season, basically she will be recently widowed because her husband dies towards the end of the season. So she will be, left very, very young widow, devastated, and kind of like in a situation in which she'll have to find out what the future will store for her. And the season, the teaser trailer that's been released on Tuesday will show us that, because basically we see Francesca walking towards a balcony where she is going to join Michaela, and you can see the two of them looking at each other, and then there's a close-up on their hands, and their hands are about to touch. And so we know that season 5 is going to be the first season with a gay lead storyline, with a queer storyline as the center of the season. And this is quite a big shift. It's quite a positive news, in my opinion, and very interesting. And it's a Netflix decision, actually, because in the original novels, from which obviously the show takes inspiration, written by American author Julia Quinn, there are no queer storylines. And actually, Francesca is going to end up with a male character called Michael, which, for the show has been changed to Michaela. And Michael is originally the cousin of her late husband. And in this case, the relationship still stands, but they only change basically the gender. So we have a Michaela instead of a Michael. And they did say, the showrunner of the show said that they thought this was going to be a very important thing to do, because queer stories are very important and they're important to tell. We've always had queer people in the past, we have queer people in the present, and we will have queer people in the future. And it's important to tell their stories, even though the show is set in the Regency era. So it's kind of like, with it being a period drama, it's not necessarily like the kind of show that we will expect to have queer storylines. But then again, it's not the first time that Bridgerton does this, because even Benedict, who's the main character of season 4, like we said, was confirmed earlier in the earlier seasons as being bisexual, even though then in his season he ends up being with a woman. It's very important that this part of who he is has not been erased, and it's actually being confirmed again in season 4. So yeah, we're very excited to see where this is going to go. Would you be interested of it, into ever watching it, Adam? Is it something that ever interests you?
I do. I mean, so many of my friends watch it, and I mean, they certainly love it. And I don't know. I definitely see the appeal of it for sure. I mean, I said to my friend, it just strikes me as like a woke Downton Abbey, like very Gen Z. So, I mean, obviously, people love Downton Abbey for the period drama, but then it's, that little twist of Gen Z where you've got like sort of a lot of just I guess like diversity. You've got like different, actors of different races playing different characters, and now we've got this queer storyline. So it's very. I mean, I guess it is important to say it's not like a historical documentary. It's very much like sort of just like a playing with history, seeing through the storylines. And I think people love the storylines. It's definitely that's what drives it. So I mean, maybe I will. Maybe when my friends are putting it on, I'll catch a glimpse of it.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's also I feel like a lot of the appeal to the Gen Z, generation is also given by the fact that they use like contemporary songs, but in kind of like an orchestra way. I feel that's very cool. But yeah, I feel like it's one of the things that if you're into period drama, then you will enjoy watching it. If you're not really into period drama, it depends. It's kind of like, yeah, because they're quite long as well. Like the episodes are over an hour every time, and yeah, many people will say they're a bit boring, and it depends if you're into it. But we also know that we have another huge news that just got released yesterday, and that is basically the trailer for the new adaptation of Harry Potter by HBO. This was something that loads of people were waiting for. As we know, Harry Potter has been one of the most successful and famous franchise in the history of anything, books, films, anything. And when originally was announced that they were going to do this, there was a huge, conversation about whether it was the right thing to do or not. Have you seen the trailer, Adam? What did you think about it?
I have. I mean, as you were saying, it's so big. Like you could not escape this. I did see it, and even as someone who doesn't, I mean, you don't even have to be a Harry Potter fan to know basically so much about it. But even just seeing it's very reminiscent of the films. And I mean, at least for me, I mean, I think one of the big questions is like sort of why if this is going to be so reminiscent of the films and not even that long, like what was it, 20 years ago that or 25 years ago that they was first starting to come out. It's not that long of a time between them, and they're already still harking back to the imagery. That's something I would question, to be honest. But what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I feel like it would have been more impactful if it was something that was released like a lot earlier than this. I mean, I'm in my early 30s and I was a child when Harry Potter was around for the first time. So it kind of feels weird now being here and seeing already a remake. I've read quite a few interesting takes online. People were calling it kind of like soulless, because with it being so similar to the original, but also not. People were saying that it kind of looks a little bit AI slob. I don't know if you've read that kind of comment as well, but people were saying it's a bit uncanny valley, which is, when something, it's meant to give you a certain effect and it's meant to look a certain way, but you can actually see that it's not exactly the same thing, and it gives you that effect. And I do agree with that, because it was really weird to see, for example, not the children. I would say, the casting for the children was quite good. But for example, Hagrid, you're really used to see Hagrid the way he looked. And now it's Nick Frost. And you can tell that it's Nick Frost dressed as Hagrid. So I don't know. I feel like it's something that we did not need, for starters. But since we now have it, we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm not sure it was the right the right thing to do. Maybe there were other things that we could have done with that amount of money that they surely like spent on it. People were also saying, the lightning was very reminiscent of like shows that have been released recently. Everything kind of feels like there's no really color to it, and everything feels very dark. And they were saying this is very reminiscent of like any other HBO show rather than something so iconic like the movies by Chris Columbus were. So yeah, we'll have to see. Do you think you're going to watch it? And also, were you a fan of the originals, even if like you were saying, they were so famous anyway?
I was gonna say the lighting. I definitely saw that. It's so grey, and these are meant to be like literal magical movies, and
Yes.
everything's so grey and dull, and oh. Also, it's coming out over 10 years because they're doing one series per book.
I
So
did not realize that.
yeah, it's. I mean, I feel like that's basically the timeline of the movies as well. So they're basically just redoing the movies, which I mean, in a way, you could, I feel like they're exploring other parts that obviously they couldn't quite squeeze into the movies, which is interesting. I know they're seeing Harry's like Muggle school and like on the underground and stuff like that, which is obviously a whole new light to it, and they're going to see so much more. So definitely for fans who are so into it in that way, that'll be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Can I spend 10 years watching this? I don't know. And I think the films are just so, we grew up on these films, like they're so iconic, and I think maybe something like this, I don't think it'll replace it. Because I mean, with the Hagrid, you just see the original Hagrid. Like that's
Yeah.
who he will be forever. And I don't, I mean, maybe in a few years, it might change, but for now, it'll be really hard to replace those people in our hearts.
I totally agree with you. And staying on that same, line of thought, we're going to be talking about One Piece now. I feel like that is another example of this because it's such an iconic anime in this case, and manga, obviously, that now that the live action has been released, I feel like loads of fans are kind of like divided into people that will enjoy no matter like the adaptation, they will watch it, it's fine, they care about the characters and they care about the story. And then fans that are kind of like not very interested into watching the live action because it's because you got the anime and the anime is already its own thing and it's iconic in its own way. But even though fans are kind of like divided, we know that the show has been hugely successful. Season 2 was released just a couple of months ago, and just in the first 4 days, it gained 16.8 million views on Netflix, and it topped the charts, which is a remarkable result for the show and for the streaming service. And season 2 basically ended with the Straw Hat Pirates arriving to Alabasta, which is a desert kingdom where they will have to fight to kind of like stop a civil war from happening. And that will be basically the plot of season 3. And the end of season 2 already introduced characters that are going to be very relevant for this plot. We've got Sir Crocodile, played by Joe Manganiello. So we've got also really important actors in the show as well. And then we've got 2 characters that are being introduced in the season that are really, fan favorites and really important for the whole plot. Them being Nico Robin, even though she's not Nico Robin yet, and she will be part of the crew. And obviously Tony Chopper, who has been recruited as the doctor of the crew, and he's probably one of the most iconic characters of One Piece. So, this was hugely successful also because of that, because the introduction of these new characters. We also have a little glimpse of Ace, another fan favorite, and that will be Luffy's older brother, who basically will be very relevant to understand the plot and the future plot and also the backstory of Luffy. And basically, yeah, we know already that season 3 it's already in production. The actress that plays Nami actually says that they've been filming for 2 months, and there won't be a long wait between season 2 and season 3. Whereas, for example, between season 1 and season 2, there was a little bit of a wait because the production got caught in the strikes. Whereas it doesn't seem like this will be the same case. So, yeah, fans will be excited to see, season 3 and where this will go as well. Because with One Piece specifically, like with it being such a long anime and such a long manga as well, like we've got more than almost 1.2k chapters in the manga. It's really long. They did say that they don't want to adapt the whole thing, obviously, because it would be impossible, and that they're just going to concentrate on a few storylines. But this is kind of what happens with live actions. You have to kind of sacrifice some things to make it successful, and not every time it's the right thing. What do you think, Adam, about live actions and adapting just in general?
Yeah, I think especially with my like friends who love anime, like they're very much like against live action. I think they're interested in it. I watched the live action adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist, which it didn't go down well. And I think they're very much sticking to that because I think it is sort of part of the charm of anime, like the fact that it is anime. So I do think doing it in this way, it sort of loses. I do feel like it loses something when you make it into a live action.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. I feel like it would be different to adapt like a Disney movie, for example. That would be, still difficult in its own way, but we got examples where it worked. Whereas for other examples, like with anime, it kind of feels completely off. It just loses like the magic of it. It would be just like trying to adapt into a live action like a Studio Ghibli movie. Like it just wouldn't work to me. I feel like it would be just very, very weird. But speaking about pop culture, let's just talk about someone who's been in hot water in the past couple of days, Chappell Roan. What's happened with her?
I mean, what hasn't happened with her? I mean, bless her. I think this is just, I think that she's got a bit of a reputation for this, and I think this is why sort of the media and social media backlash has been so big. But yes, anyway, so Jorginho Frello, the footballer, he basically wrote a post on Instagram saying that his 11-year-old daughter had a really bad interaction with Chappell Roan's security. So they were both, obviously Chappell Roan, it was Lollapalooza festival in Brazil, and they were both there. So obviously Chappell Roan was going to be singing, and his daughter and his wife were going to watch it, and they turned out to be in the same hotel. And so, according to him on his Instagram, he said his daughter obviously recognized her while she was having her breakfast, and she walked past just to check it was her, because obviously, like an 11-year-old girl, like a fan, she's going to be so, she's going to be so excited. She just wanted to check if it was her. But then after that, after she went to sit down, a member of security came over and started aggressively, that's what he says, this security guard aggressively was talking to the wife and the daughter, saying, you've got to respect people, don't harass them. And he even reported to, get the hotel involved as well, according to this post. And then obviously that went really viral. And then actually Chappell, she has come out with, she recorded an Instagram story as a response saying she didn't even see this girl. She didn't even see, the mother. That wasn't even her security guard. But, I think there's a lot. This is sort of a string of events where she's very public about, her boundaries and what she does and doesn't accept. I mean, I think it's a few weeks ago, Boy George, the musician, said, he's like, you got to own your fame and cheer up to Chappell Roan, because I think she's got a bad reputation with dealing with the media and sort of dealing with fans as well. So I think that's just why people, I do think that's why this blew up. But I guess, I mean, what do you think, Lucia, about artists putting these boundaries up and then sort of, I guess, the backlash they get from that?
So I agree with what you said. I feel like she's kind of earned herself a little bit the bad reputation, because she's always been, compared to other artists, she's kind of been in, the midst of these kind of like controversies more than once. And that is because she is very stern about what she wants and what she thinks and how she should behave in public and how people should behave with her. And she's always said, just because I'm a famous person, that doesn't mean that you have to feel entitled to come to me or bother me while I'm with my friends or with my family. And that makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like she might be a little bit too stern, as in like, kind of like the limitations that she put on this are a little bit too strong sometimes. And it would help maybe to just be a little bit more considerate of fans as well, because it is true that, she's famous thanks to them and not thanks to, obviously she's a good artist, but at the same time, without fans, she wouldn't be famous. So I feel like it's a bit of a complicated conversation, but at the same time, it's also quite fun to see this thing happen online, because then there's tons of memes, and I've seen, oh my god, like the day after this happened on Twitter, it was just hilarious. Like everyone was just talking about it, and it was just really funny. Speaking about memes, actually, we have another situation, not as controversial, but as you were saying, like you kept seeing a certain meme about Cameron Diaz in connection to Olivia Rodrigo. Why? What's happened? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Olivia Rodrigo has sort of officially said she's working on her new album. And while she was doing that, she was making, because she's Filipino American, so she's making, the classic Filipino dish of lumpia. And everywhere I saw this was the recording of Cameron Diaz talking about her childhood. And she basically, Cameron Diaz used to live next to a Filipino family, and she goes, lumpia, adobo. I ate it every day, and I just see this everywhere. I haven't even seen like the Olivia Rodrigo story. It got buried by Cameron Diaz. But anyway, on to Olivia Rodrigo. So while she was making her lumpia, she was talking about her new album. So we don't actually know when, what the name is, when it's coming out, but we do know there is a big vibe shift with it. So obviously she was, even by her own words, she said her previous albums have been angsty, heartbreaking, or heartbroken even. Well, probably heartbreaking as well. We got Driver's License, Deja Vu, those big TikTok angsty hits. But now she's going more into joy and happiness. And I think she was talking about, because obviously when she was making the lumpia, she was talking about her grandmother. And I think it's very much invoking those happy memories. And I think that's definitely where she wants to go on this new album. And there's also like pinks and purple tones that people are seeing as well. So, I think it'll be a fresh album for her. She wants new sounds and a happy new vibe as well.
That's good. I love Olivia Rodrigo. I really like her music. Out of the new, girlies, kind of like Sabrina or like Olivia Dean. I feel like Olivia is my favorite. She's really cool. Okay. So thank you for joining me today, Adam. And thank you everybody for watching this episode. Once again, you can find all of the stories that we talked about today on newsjustnews.com. So please make sure to pay a visit on to our website, and we will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.